Hey guys, hope everyone's having a good day. So today I'm going to go over Hammer off-season and in-season training programs. Basically just an overview, nothing like really like concrete. Like I'm not going to tell you how many sets or reps or anything like that. I'm just going to give you some examples of what you should include. And again, this is all my opinion. So let's start first with off-season. So for Hammer, for lifting wise, you want strong glutes, strong core, squats, reverse sleds, close grip snatch, and some shoulder strength. Pretty much. So these two, the strong glutes and the strong core, are basically like the overview of absolute necessities. Obviously, you just need overall strength. Bench press and like pressing movements and stuff, like a bench press, aren't really that useful in Hammer. So I'm talking strictly just for Hammer, not if you're like a Hammer shot putter. Because obviously, if you're doing shot put, you need to do bench press. It's cliche but true. All right. So I'm speaking just purely Hammer. All right, for all of this. All right. So those are the two main things. All right. Squat, mainly front squat. Obviously include back squat, but lean a little more towards front squat. Why? Because it's going to teach you to have that more upright and strong back that will help with your counter, and it will teach you how to sit back while something is in front of you, all right, as opposed to a back squat. That's why front squat's really important for hammer throwers. Reverse sleds, just to feel yourself. I don't have a sled, but like, so if the sled is right here, all right, and you walk back, all right, so like this. Basically, you're dragging the sled backwards as you're walking backwards. No need to run, nice and slow. Just make sure you're in your actual counter position, all right, when you go. All right, close grip snatch, that's a special strength. So, snatch, you're supposed to have that wide grip and go up. Close grip snatch, for specifically hammer, is you're going to have a pretty close grip, so you're going to catch it and be like here. Here, mainly. And what you want to feel is, you want to feel the same feeling you have when you go and release a hammer. So basically, you don't want it to really contact your hip. So I should have wrote close grip, no contact snatch, which means no contact with your hip or your. So it's kind of a little bit more away from you, and it's really just feeling that motion. All right. Now, obviously, don't throw the barbell, but that's merely what it's meant to feel like. All right, so it would be like this and feel that. So it's not actually coming into my hip like you would with an actual snatch. All right, shoulder strength, mainly for winds and just overall just overhead stability. So, like shoulder press, really heavy wind. So you can do like, if you're a guy or a male, you can do a 2/16s. And just like have them together and just wind and make sure you do both sides, so your right and your left. For women, it would be like 2 4Ks, and obviously depending on, like, I've seen people, wind 100 pounds. So it just really just depends on your level. In terms of like how many sets and reps, for hammer, you want a little more muscular endurance just because of the nature of the event. So obviously, just like any lifting cycle, when you first start, you want to ease into it. So I'm not saying like immediately go into this. So I would do like the reverse sleds and like the close grip snatch. One, make sure you're competent in regular snatch before you do a close grip snatch, and make sure you have the mobility to do it. So obviously, if you can't like go like this and like catch a regular snatch, don't do a close grip because you need a lot more mobility to do that. All right, so obviously get more shoulder mobility before you attempt that, and be safe. But yeah, I would say these three. I'm speaking more for like someone who's done like maybe 1 or 2 years of hammer. I would say probably mid-October to early December is when I would do these. It depends on when you start training. Too. So if you start training in like August, September, I would attempt to do these maybe in mid-October to early December. Strong core, anti-rotational stuff is very key. So stuff that basically you have to resist you from rotating to one side. So like if I was had like a cable attached to the camera, I would want to resist it from going this way. So I'd have like a cable here, and I'd basically hold it, and the cable would be like to my side, right here. All right, a lot of that, just a lot of general core in general, but especially anti-rotational stuff. All right, what implements should you do? All right, overweight implements. You basically, yeah, for off season, pretty much a lot of overweight stuff. You can vary it. So like for women, it would be like a 3K, 4K, 5K, and then repeat. So what do I mean by that? It would be you throw a 3K, then a 4K, then a 5K, and then you go back to 3K and then 4K and 5, and you basically repeat that. All right. And that's a very common thing that a lot of hammer throwers do. More in Europe and basically a lot of other places besides the U.S. And other things you can do, you can not do that. Just throw simply an 18 or 18 pound, or I guess it would be like what, an 8K and a 9K and a 10K or something like that. Yeah, if you don't have access to those, what you could do is just put a chain on the wire. It'll just slide down and stuff, that you could just add weight doing that if you don't have access to actual overweight hammers. Or you could open up a hammer, put like pebbles or something in it, and put it back in. It depends what kind of hammer you have, if you can do that. So, yeah, but I would say mainly focus more on overweight. Still, you don't want to get burnt out. So obviously the entire off season, don't just throw overweight. Still touch your comp weight. Still touch a little bit of lightweight implants. Not too light. So woman is very hard because I would say you don't really want to throw anything like a 2K. Maybe on very rare occasions. The lightest I would go is a 3K. For men, the lightest I would go in the off season would be like probably a 6K hammer. Yeah, and then the heaviest I would go is probably like a 10K. But the heaviness is really just dependent on what good you are, and then two, your strength levels. So you don't want to throw something too heavy that you start changing your technique, and that's the same for shot put and discus. So if you are actually a very good technique, you don't pull a lot, but the second you throw like an 8K or like a 9K and you start to pull, that might be a little too heavy, and you just need to go a lot slower and really feel it out first before you actually start doing some throws with them. And when you're doing drills and stuff, that is actually something you totally forgot to include in the off season. Doing drills like just turns on like a sidewalk or something. Release drills both ways, like kettlebell stuff, like throwing a kettlebell here, throwing it like here, like so to the side. If you look up like Koji Murafushi throw for gold, and I think it's the first one on YouTube, like video 1 or something. It's in Japanese, but there's like I think in like the beginning or middle of it, he's doing like kettlebell exercises and stuff. It's when he's like outside in like the grass throwing like a log or something, doing Koji stuff. And you'll get to see some good like kettlebell stuff from that. If you actually want to see like what it actually looks like. I don't have a kettlebell and I don't want to throw stuff in here because I live here. Conditioning. So hammer is unique in the fact that hammer itself is conditioning because it's really like physically exerting and really tiring. Me, myself, this could just be a me problem. After 2 throws, I'm like really breathing hard. But it could just be because I'm fat. But, yeah. So plyos in all directions. Basically, conditioning you want to just treat as like an overall athlete. You don't really need to do anything beyond 100 meters. So like doing like sprints like for 40 meters or something. Just nice short sprints. what I will say is you want to do a lot of backward stuff, all right? Just because you really want to get into the feeling of being strong in your hamstrings, holding posture while doing a backwards run, because that's what it should feel like when you're throwing hammer, like a backwards walk or run, all right? So you really want to be strong in that. And then, plyos, like continuous broad jumps, backwards, forwards, multi-directional things. Honestly, just look up the Werner Gunther, training videos. And it's like probably the most famous, like, training video for throwing, like, ever. It's on YouTube. It's like 40 minutes. But there's a whole section just plyometrics. I know he's a shot putter and he's a glider. Same things apply. Actually, glide is good because, glide, you need to be able to work backwards. Same with hammer. So he actually does a lot of stuff that applies to hammer. But for conditioning, just treat it as you just want to be an overall just athlete. All right? So I think it pretty much covers off season. Oh, sorry. For lifting, I didn't even finish my thought here. You basically want to build size, strength, not necessarily worry about how fast something's moving. The mantra in throwing is you move heavyweight fast, pretty much. That's always been my philosophy with lifting. So you still want to be able to be dynamic, flexible. You don't want to be all stiff. You don't want to train like a power lifter. So you still want to train like a thrower, like an actual athlete. Still full range of motion and stuff. Just don't get stiff. All right. In season, what you want to do, I hope you guys can see it. By the way, I apologize for my handwriting and maybe you guys can't see this. Hopefully you guys can. But in season, lifting, same pretty much as off season, just lighter weight, and include like a peak cycle. So like peaking cycle. So people respond differently to peaking cycles. Everyone should do a peaking cycle, and it should probably start the month of your biggest competition. You can do mini peaks, which means just like lessen the load if you have like important meets like qualified for like the big meet at the end of the year, whether it's like the Olympics or like a conference championship or whatever, like your nationals or whatever. Usually I like to do like a month peaking cycle. I'm not going to get into how to do a peaking cycle, but just know in season is where you include that. All right. Oh, sorry. Actually, before we do that, off season, there's a big thing I want to emphasize. In off season, don't worry about how far you're throwing. All right. Focus on technique, drilling down fundamentals. Obviously, like, you'll have some fun. Have like program in some fun days that like you're just throwing for distance. Have some fun. All right, because if you're just doing technical throws the entire off season, that's just boring, and you'll get mentally burnt out. So the most important thing that I always emphasize to my athletes is we gotta have fun. Otherwise, why are we doing this? All right. So, all right, that's about that. In season. So I already went over this peaking cycle. Yeah. So basically, you can do a peaking cycle in the weight room. Some people respond really well to heavy, like quarter box squats. Some people respond well to like really light, like barbell jumps. It just depends. Basically, if you respond really well to heavyweight implements or lightweight implements, that might dictate on how you should program your lifting. So if you're really, really good at lightweight implements, like you translate really well with lightweight implements, you might want to do lightweight for your peaking cycle. If you respond very well to heavyweight implements, then you might want to do like heavyweight stuff, like really heavy padded bench. Sorry, not padded bench. Like really heavy, like split jerks. But I would say lessen your load. Basically, you want to start feeling good in a peaking cycle. All right, feel good, feel ready. You should basically in your peaking cycle feel the best you felt all year. If you don't, you did your peaking cycle wrong. All right. So implements, vary weight, I would say. You never want to just throw your comp weight in off season or in season. You always want to vary the weight, especially in hammer. I would say get used to throwing a little more lightweight implements. So like a 7.26 and so I would like, for example, here's, hope you guys can see a 6K, 7.26K, and then repeat So, you throw the 6K, then the 7.26K, then the 6K again, then 7.26, and then you repeat over and over. All right. Yeah, you could do that. You could just have a day of just throwing purely just like a 6K. I would say for like a pre-meet, some people don't throw the day before and just rest. Some people like to do like a couple throws just to get in the thing, especially if you're traveling. A lot of people, they'll want to get used to the ring, so they may not do it the day before, but 2 days before, depending on when you arrive. It's good to like get into a ring, get used to what it is, because every ring feels different. So you want to find like a focal point, you want to find all that stuff. Plyo's pretty much the same, just not as much. So I would say you don't really have to sprint as much. You can do like a little bit, but basically just for in season, it's kind of basically the same as off season. Just lessen the load a lot, and you want to just start feeling good. So less sets, less reps in the weight room, and basically, so like now the objective in season is to get explosive and power. Off season is more building strength and building like a base for the in season training. In season, so like a lot more Olympic lifts. Oh, I know I didn't put off season, but obviously I do like Olympic lifts, like snatch, clean. You don't just have to do close grip, do regular snatch as well, and all that. But in season, basically the same too. Maybe more from hang than like full cleans. Obviously very like hang, hip, or from the floor, Olympic lifts. Same here. But really just move heavy weight fast here. All right, because that's where you want to generate the power, all right? You shouldn't be struggling really with weight. You need to be moving it fast. Obviously make it challenging, but basically you're trying to maintain your strength base that you built in your off season while trying to get a lot of power into your in-season training. All right, so that's mainly what you want. But in season, you want to start feeling good, pretty much, is the thing. You want to lessen the load on your joints. You just want to feel good mentally, physically, and do everything you can in your power and that you can control, basically to compete well and throw far. All right. But I think that pretty much covers it. I'm not gonna make like a year plan because I can't do that for everyone, because everyone is different. All right. My plan won't look the same as your plan. Your plan won't look the same as like a Rudy Winkler plan. But these are just general things that everyone at all levels can include, pretty much, whether you're like the best in the world or just beginning. The same principles pretty much apply. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.